live from the Counterpunch Media Mobile Studios in Grand Blanc, Michigan. It's time for real lives, real families, real fitness. It's time for Derek Noel Fitness.
And we are potentially live. We were running into some technical difficulties, so we're just honestly testing real quick before we get the show on the road. So if this works out pretty well, congratulations, you were part of our sound test. Yep, we're good. So, hello and welcome to Derek Noel Fitness Live. If you're listening to the audio version, I actually had to just cut out that last part. But we have a nice, good show going on. We originally were planning on having, for the first time, a phone line hooked up. So save that phone number because that will be the phone number you can reach me at while we're on the show. However, when we were running into setup, we ran into some other technical difficulties, which unfortunately isn't actually going to allow us to take calls today, which is fine. As always, you can reach me. I am always monitoring the comments. And speaking of the comments, let's give this a share real quick. If you could, please go ahead and share this to your page right now. Every view helps out. Also, you can always find the link to the YouTube page. Please subscribe to our YouTube channel. We are going to start having more content from other shows there as well. Eventually, there are actually a couple other shows on there. Really good content. And, you know, it just helps me out. I like when people are able to help me out because hopefully I help everybody else out. So today's topic, I had a debate for a few different things, actually. But I decided that with the holidays coming up, it would be a really good idea to tackle the holidays. With that, there are a few different ways we can tackle this. So people like to think about the holidays as something that they dread or something that they're going to automatically gain 15 pounds on, being able to just eat, and then there are no consequences, or if they don't pay attention to anything, then the carbs, the calories don't count, and then all of a sudden they get through the holidays and they're like, oh my God, I just gained 20 pounds. Definitely something you can actually avoid. And I'm going to talk about that right now. All of these big meals, we have Thanksgiving coming up. I love Thanksgiving. Then we have Christmas. And even if we're looking into New Year's, we have New Year's Day. We have Valentine's Day if you're going to be making something nice with that. All the way through to Easter. We really only have a few days all the way through till Easter where we're eating big meals, big holiday meals. Or we're drinking on New Year's Eve or something like that. Make sure that you don't let yourself fall into the mindset of all of the time during the holidays is going to be spent eating, because it's really not. Let's break it down even to New Year's Day. We have Thanksgiving coming up at the end of November. Oh, hey, Derek has a birthday in a couple weeks. We'll throw that in because he's going to, so I'm counting for myself right now. But if you don't have a November or December birthday, we have Thanksgiving, we have Christmas, and we have New Year's. That's 3 days out of, what, 61? So 3 out of 61. That is right around 5% of all of the days are big eating days. Now, let's say you're married or you have just like two or three different families to go eat Thanksgiving dinner for. Let's go ahead and bump that number up to 5 or 6. Because let's face it, you're probably going to be eating a couple Thanksgiving meals and a couple Christmas meals and then a New Year's drinking or eating. Whatever you're doing on New Year's, let that be your thing. That bumps that number up to like 5 or 6, which is still only around 10% of the days. What are you doing those other 90%? That's the big thing that I want you to ask yourself. 90% of the time, you are not at a party eating all day long for a 24-hour span. By the way, one of the things is going to be talking about Thanksgiving, about what you should be doing the rest of the day. So that's 5 or 6 days out of 2 months. And people act like those 2 or 3 days, really, 2 or 3 holidays, are going to be making them gain all of this weight over the holidays. That's not how it works. What happens is you start eating like crap, and then you use the holidays as an excuse and then all of a sudden you just let it keep going because you already did the damage. You might as well just keep going at this point, and then you actually do the damage after you tell yourself, the damage has already been done, I'm just going to keep going. That's the mindset that causes the damage. Do not let yourself fall into that trap. Please, for the love of everything that is holy, do not let yourself fall into that trap. Give yourself a couple days off. So for me, for example, I'm probably going to have 2 Thanksgivings, mine and my girlfriend's. I'll probably have like a Christmas meal here, and then I'll go hang out with my girlfriend's family. But I'll probably choose not to eat like a mofo on those days, or if I do, I'll talk about some ways to plan around it. And then New Year's, honestly, I'm an old man, and big nerd alert here, for the past, I want to say 5 years in a row, I've gone over to one of my best friend's houses, and we've watched the Death Star explode at midnight for New Year's. Nothing super crazy. I don't go wild. That was past life. That's what we do. So I'm really not even doing anything crazy there. I'll maybe make some buffalo chicken dip, call it a day. Proteins in that, we're good. So again, I'm thinking about these things already for myself because I do have my own goals that I'm trying to go for, and I am not about to sabotage myself on those goals. Heidi's saying, old man nerd. Yes, yes I am. And I'm a giant Star Wars nerd. I may or may not already have my tickets to episode 9. Big ol' nerd alert there. December 19th cannot come fast enough. But now that we've gotten this whole mindset thing out of the way, you are in control of what you're doing. The other will say, we'll give it an even 93% of the time. 93% of the time, you are in control of what you are eating. You can go out to the store, buy the eggnog. I love eggnog personally. It's one of those things you either love or you hate. And if you feel like having some eggnog, drink some eggnog. Just know that you're going to be having to look at everything else that you're eating during the day and make some adjustments around that. And again, we'll get into that. And I'll even show you a way to set up like a 60-day nutrition plan to make sure that you're staying on track, which is really cool. I'm looking forward to that. My whiteboard, which is hidden with my notes, is only half filled because my brain was rolling with this. So we're going to have a good time with that. But now that we have that out of the way, how do we actually handle the other 7-8% of the time, those holidays? How do we actually handle eating food on those days? There are a few different ways you can go about this. Let's say you only have one. We'll break it down. We have one, we're celebrating one holiday. We're celebrating two, or one day holiday. We're celebrating 2 times for, you know, both sides of the family, his and hers, or whatever. And then if you have to do 3 or more, just pick one at that point. Pick 1 or 2. So if we have one holiday, we'll use Thanksgiving as an example. Number one, most people eat Thanksgiving earlier in the day, so it's more like a late lunch than, it's more like a late lunch than an early dinner. And the nice thing about Thanksgiving is, honestly, it's really not a terrible meal until you're throwing like everything on your plate with like the candied yams and the sweet potato pie and the pumpkin bread and the glazed carrots. Actually, I mean, sugar coated, but still not terrible. But think about it. We have Thanksgiving meal. It's turkey roasted, which means it's really a pretty high quality protein, a really lean protein. Typically you have some sort of potato, sweet potato casserole, like try and not eat all of the marshmallows and stuff. Or you're doing like mashed potatoes. Again, as long as they're not loaded with a ton of cream and butter, they're really not bad. Or maybe you're even doing a baked potato because you are thinking about that. So we have a couple things with a ton of veggies that we're building our Thanksgiving meal around. The issue comes with we are loading and we're eating like 4 servings of everything at once. So what can we do to set up for that? Number one, light breakfast. So if we're looking to try and stay even, we eat a lighter breakfast and then we wait until that Thanksgiving meal so we feel like we've waited it out and we've earned it. That, number one, you will kind of gorge yourself, but you might actually get full sooner because you're not just shoving food into your mouth all day long. And by the end of the day, you might even have some space for some dessert. That's a really good way for calorie maintenance. Way number 2, eat as normal, eat that Thanksgiving meal, treat yourself, and enjoy it. Because again, it's That's 1 day out of 60. That is a very, very, very small percentage of the time. That one meal will not, that 1 day will not ruin another 59 days of progress. If it is, those other 59 days were not spent correctly. So just keep an eye on mitigating that stuff. Let's say we have the Christmas dinner. Same deal. Just make sure you're not going absolutely crazy. If you're doing something like a prime rib, I love leg of lamb, things like that. They're really not bad proteins. Prime rib has a lot of fat in it, but again, it's a lot of protein as well. And anytime we're having one of these big meals, we want to make sure we're going protein first. So Thanksgiving, eat that turkey first. Christmas, eat that protein, whatever it is, first, and then go into your carbs and fats and stuff like that. That way we're making sure we're staying high on our protein. Because protein is more filling, you'll get a little bit more full faster. You might, actually shut that off. Also, don't eat in like a 3-minute span. Slow down, enjoy your meals, enjoy your family time. That's what these holidays are all about. So sit down on that Thanksgiving dinner, take some time. You can always go back and get more. Start small, or if you just know that you're about to smash everything in sight, a good rule of thumb is to take one plate, fill up that one plate with as much food as you want. Literally, I don't care, stack it however you want to, and then sit down and limit yourself to that one plate. Then all of a sudden, you're not going back for seconds, and a lot of times your eyes are bigger than your stomach anyways, and will be cool. That's another way. So we got a couple really good plans here. And we're rolling through. So how do we figure out what our goals are going to be for the holidays? Before we get into this, we're going to take a quick break.
You're listening to Derek Noel Fitness here on IPMNation.com/counterpunch. He'll bring the smarts. Now the sweat, well, that's up to you.
And we are back. All right, so we talked about the holidays. We've talked about a couple good ways to treat these holiday meals. I just went through if we're celebrating one Thanksgiving, one Christmas, yada, 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 how we can handle that. Now, what happens if we have 2 or 3 going on that, because, a lot of people have extended family. We got to go visit the in-laws or whatnot. So all of a sudden we have a few. What can we do for that? My big thing is I like to pick one, and I will do whatever I want, eat whatever I want, drink whatever I want, smash some eggnog, whatever makes me happy at one of them. And then in the other one, I'm going to just treat it like any other meal. I have a protein, I have that carb, I have some veggies. I'm just going to get a smaller portion. I'm going to eat it like a normal meal, and I'll be satisfied because I'll just go to satisfaction instead of gorging myself. Really easy thing to do there. Do that for Thanksgiving, then you're mostly on plan for whatever Thanksgiving time you have, and then literally a month later is Christmas. You have from the day after Thanksgiving, let's face it, we're all going to have turkey leftovers for a week. That's a week of meal prep done and out of the way. You have protein for a week. Just pair that with a nice carb or some veggies or both, and there's your meal prep for the next week. And then we just got to figure out what we're doing for another 2 or 3 weeks until Christmas. And then it's the same thing, guys. We have 2 Christmases that we celebrate, maybe 3. Eat as much as you want at one, and then with the other ones, just kind of taper it back. Just eat until you're satisfied. Treat it like you are making good decisions. If anyone questions you on that, just let them know like you have goals and you really already smashed some food. Maybe you're just not that hungry that day, but everything's delicious. And honestly, if they're giving you a hard time, that's on them. That's not on you. You should not feel guilty for not eating as much as other people want you to. That is a very slippery slope to go down. So keep that in mind. Let's talk about this 60-day plan for how to structure our calories so we don't have to worry about these. And I'm not going to lie, full credit goes to a guy named Jason Phillips. He wrote a book called Last Diet Ever, and this idea comes from him, which spawned from him working with another client that had a lot of issues keeping eating under control. So full kudos goes to him. This is just super good information, and it's a super good way to structure everything. So we're going back to, I mentioned it last week, and I went in depth on how to find your calories before. So we need to figure out what our calories are. TDEEcalculator.net is going to be a really good tool for that if you just want to Google that and plug it in. Or we could do our goal body weight, multiply that by 12, and that'll give us a ballpark number. Or we can go and find the Harris-Benedict formula, which will give us our resting metabolic rate, and then multiply that by an activity factor, which I talked about again, 1.2 to like 1.725 or something like that. And that'll give you a number for what you're actually burning. So we find this number however we find it. TDEcalculator.net is a really simple one. You just plug that in, and it gives you the calories that you need based on your activity level, your height, your weight, and your age. You can ignore all the other stuff on the page, like ideal body weight. That's some health mumbo jumbo. Like it's saying that the least I could weigh with my frame and with the muscle that I have is like 135 pounds. There's absolutely no way I'm getting down that way. And if you're one of those people who's really sensitive to like or you have no idea what realistic weight it is, if you're someone who weighs 180-ish pounds and you see you can weigh 135 pounds, that might mess with you a little bit. So just ignore those other things. Just look at the calories and look at what it is. A lot of people really overestimate how many calories they burn, and then they overestimate how much they eat. So keep an eye on that. And when I say people overestimate how much they eat, they might think that they're eating like 1,500 calories, but in reality they're eating like 1,900 or 2,000 calories because they're just not measuring things correctly. There's always some leeway there, and then people really underestimate how much calories they actually burn in exercise and walking around. So keep that in mind. Just be careful. I usually always end a little err on the side of a little higher on the calories though, because we can always taper it back pretty easily. It's a lot harder to hit a point and then eat more, because then we're going to be gaining a little bit of weight. So find whatever that number is, and then we're going to multiply that number by 7. That's how many calories we need to be eating in a week. If you already see where I'm going with this, cool. So we have this weekly calorie number that we're looking at. From there, we can assume that we're going to be eating 3 days. We're going to be eating like crazy. We're going to be in a way big calorie surplus. So just for the sake of easy math, I'm going to go 10,000 calories. Actually, let's go 14,000 calories, because that'll be 2,000 calories a day even on average. And I like easy math because I am literally doing this in the top of my head right now. I don't have this written down. We're just breaking this down right now. So we have this 14,000 calories. We're assuming 2,000 calories a day for easy math. Is that where you should be at? I don't know. It depends. It depends on the person. You can always shoot me a message and I can help you out with that. I have a calculator built on my computer that I could just plug everything into that I made myself. Or again, that TDEecalculator.net will really be helpful as well. So check that out. But we have this whole weekly plan for calories. So we're assuming we're going to be eating 2,000 calories a day. Let's say that puts us at maintenance. We're trying not to gain any weight during the holidays, which I feel like is something that is a nice goal for a lot of people who have worries that they're going to be gaining a ton of weight. All right, let's make our goal to not gain any weight. Let's do this. We're assuming that we're going to be eating one day during the week, just absolutely insane. We're going to say that is 3,000 calories or 3,500. Let's go 3,000 for easier math. So we take that 14,000, one of those days is going to be 3,000. So let's subtract 3,000 from that. We have 11,000 calories to work with for the rest of the week. Now, let's divide that by 6, and honestly, I have no idea what that number is right now because my brain is a little fried. I think that's a little less than 2,000. It should probably be 1,750, 1,800. So all of a sudden, we're just eating a little less calories throughout the rest of the week, and then we have this bigger one, this bigger day. Guess what? We're still at that 14,000 balance in the week. We just allowed ourselves to gorge ourselves on one of those days, and then it comes right back down. We're still in that calorie. So do that. So you have one day where you know it's your cheat day. So you have the 7 days. You figure out what that big day is going to be around. If you're going absolutely crazy, if you're going out and binge eating and drinking, it'll probably be 35 or 4,000 calories. Subtract that from the weekly, and then divide that number by 6, and you'll have what you could be eating throughout the rest of the week to help balance that out. Is that a little bit of work? Yes. If you're super serious about it, it will work. Is it ideal? Absolutely not. It is way better to just account for everything and just let yourself have that day and not have to stress out about it. But I know how some people roll with that. It's really, really easy to get into that. And real quick, I do want to talk about calories and then weight loss versus fat loss because they are two very, very different things. If I'm looking to lose weight, only weight, I don't care about my strength. I don't care about the amount of muscle on my frame, which you will literally never hear me say because I do actually really care about the muscle I have on my frame. I am a bodybuilder at heart and a power lifter, so that muscle is that strength, and I love that stuff. If I'm only looking to lose weight, then I am not caring about protein, I'm not caring about carbs, I'm not caring about fats. In the end, calories in are going to be what matters. Am I eating in a calorie deficit? If I'm eating in a calorie deficit, I can basically guarantee that I'm losing weight. If you're not losing any weight, you're not in a calorie deficit. But Derek, I'm only eating 1,000 calories. Your metabolism has adapted to work off of that 1,000 calories. Do not go into a calorie deficit because I cannot even joke about eating 800 calories, but you really should tweak and fix your metabolism before you go back into a cut because everybody wants to be able to eat more food and lose weight at the same time, and I'm telling you it is possible. Maybe sometimes it's just a matter of waiting to get your metabolism in a better spot before we jump into that. It is super duper important to make sure we're getting enough calories. If not, there's no such thing as starvation mode. We're not just going to automatically be holding on to fat. Our metabolism is just going to adapt to that point because your body does not like change, so it'll adapt so that it's at that homeostasis, that no change point at that point. And then in order to get that, we can ramp it back up. It just takes time. It's not something that's going to be fixed overnight. If you're also severely overtraining, that can start to run in and wreak some havoc on everything else hormonally, but don't worry about that. If I'm looking to specifically lose fat, losing fat, and I want to maintain as much muscle as I can. So if I'm trying to keep the muscle and then show off the muscle, whether it's for just general health because I want to look good naked, because muscles look pretty nice, guys, and then or even if I'm trying to do a bodybuilding show, it really doesn't matter. If I'm trying to lose fat specifically, I need to keep my proteins up. There are actually no real studies that say that it's harder to lose fat if you're going low carb or low fats. There's really no studies that show either way is better. So I like just having a nice balance so that I can enjoy my carbs because I'm one cranky SOB without them. But then I can also enjoy those things that have fats in them too. So the important thing is getting optimal protein levels, which, in case you're wondering, if you take your body weight, the safe number is right around, the easy math number is 1 gram per pound of body weight, or if you are overweight, it's 1 pound per gram, or it's 1 gram per pound of lean body mass, which you can figure out by figuring out your body fat percentage. So there are a couple different ways to do that. From there, you just want to make sure. If you're less active, that protein number can actually come down just a little bit. I would, even if I'm trying to gain weight, which, by the way, when you're trying to gain muscle, you actually need to eat less protein than when you're trying to cut muscle out because we're looking to maintain our muscle. If we're eating and we're in a calorie surplus, chances are we're not going to lose muscle because your body doesn't need to break any down. Unless you're running forever and you're not eating any carbs, then it might. But keeping that in mind, whenever we're trying to do this, we definitely want to eat a lot of protein. Take a number. The easy number, like I said, is 1 gram per pound that I weigh. The other number that you can do is, if you're worried about that being a huge number, so say you're like a 200-pound person and you're really scared of eating 200 pounds of protein, or 200 grams, 200 pounds of protein would be insane. If you're scared of eating 200 grams of protein, then you can also work that number anywhere between basically 0.75 grams to about 1.2. There's a nice big window there. If you are someone who just really likes meat, you can always bump it up to the 1.2. If you're scared of getting bulky, you have to work really hard to get there. As someone who has never been bulky muscle-wise before in his life, I can tell you it is a lot a lot of hard work to try and get those numbers up in terms of trying to gain weight. So long story short, you're looking to lose fat, make sure you keep that protein number up a little elevated higher. If you're trying to gain weight for whatever reason, that number can come down and you want to boost the other macros up. So we are going to wrap this all up. We have this nice 60-day plan that makes it really easy to keep ourselves balanced, where we take however many calories we're working with in a week, whatever that number is. And if you guys want some examples, let me know. I can always I can always make a post as an example for this. And then, or honestly, you can always check out, like I said, Jason Phillips' book, Last Diet Ever, which is a really cool book. It's about 120 pages, and it goes through how to set all this stuff up. Like I said, I'm just the messenger. I'm just learning a lot from him through nutrition as well. You can take that number, figure out what day is the big day, and then kind of adjust the calories, the rest of the calories for the week around that. It's not ideal, like I said. Ideally, you could just eat that, not feel any guilt, just get it in, eat the food, feel good, enjoy your family time, then move on, and then just get back on track the very next day. But sometimes that's not always the case. And remember, when we're going, we have really 3 holidays, or if you want to extrapolate that out, we have New Year's Eve, New Year's Day. We'll make those. We have Christmas, we have Thanksgiving. We've been talking about those 3 or 4 specifically. And then we have Valentine's Day, if you're going to go out for a nice meal for Valentine's Day. If you're single, treat yourself. Go on a date with yourself. Self-love is always really good. And then we have probably, like, I don't know, Labor Day and Easter. I don't even remember when Labor Day even is. But that's really like 7 or 8 days. We'll say 8 just to be safe, until Easter. That's 8 out of over 100 days, guys. Don't feel like those 8 days are going to ruin everything else that you're doing. Enjoy those days. It's only going to be like 5% of the total amount of time spent over this entire holiday is where we're going to be making poorer decisions. I'm going to say less good decisions, because it's really not a bad decision to enjoy those meals. Because again, the point isn't to be on me. It's the point is to be spending time with family and enjoying those things and treating yourself and just enjoying life during those days. Make sure that you do not fall into the trap of, oh, well, I've already eaten this, so I might as well just go crazy for the rest of the day, because then that's ending up going to lead into the next day, and then you're going to feel like crap and you're not going to work out. Then you're going to slow down on the workouts because it's the holidays, not because you actually have anything valid to do in those times where you'd normally be working out. You're just choosing, because everything is a choice. You are choosing not to spend your time being healthy. You are choosing to spend your time eating like crap and not working out because you would rather sit on Netflix. If I know you're binge watching shows and you tell me you don't have time to work out during the holiday season, I will call you out, because Netflix is not an excuse as much as, again, I'm a big nerd. I would love to be able to binge watch some TV shows, and chances are I might, but I'm also not going to let myself fall off the wagon and just fall off on all of those things. Hopefully this episode was a little enlightening for you. Hopefully something I said got through to you for what these holidays are. Hopefully we have a more firm plan. If you'd like something a little more concrete, please feel free to message me. I would love to help you out. It's what I am here for. You have been watching and listening to Derek Noel Fitness Live. You can find me on Facebook at facebook.com/TheDerekNoel, or you can find me on Instagram at TheDerekNoel. I post a little bit more training stuff. I'm trying to post more nutrition stuff because I feel like nutrition is where I can help people more in the online space. So please feel free to reach out. I would love to help you out. Don't be afraid to ask questions. And remember, next week, you'll be able to give me a phone call at 810-412-5999. I don't know if special Mr. Producer person put that up right now or not, but I will be sharing that throughout the week too, because I really do want to hear from you. It doesn't necessarily have to be about the topic. If you have any questions at all, I would love to turn these into Q&As. I always love those Q&A sessions. So enjoy the rest of your Sunday night, and have a great night, everybody.